So I want to share something that I didn't understand at first. Something that only became clear when I stopped looking at sexuality as a cultural issue and started looking at it as a nervous system response to trauma. It's interesting, when you line up history side by side, a pattern emerges that is so clear that it's almost uncomfortable to look at. After massive trauma, societies don't become freer, they become controlled. Let's start with the Black Death. So half of Europe dies. Death is random. Bodies are suddenly dangerous, like touch is becoming terrifying. So when that happens, the nervous system does what it does and it contracts. You just don't feel safe. And sex becomes sinful. So the body becomes something that they can control. Religion tightens, morality tightens, desire goes underground. And that wasn't just ideology either, it was survival. Like, you didn't know who was going to get you sick. And then a generation later, something remarkable happens, the Renaissance. Art explodes, the human body returns, nude, sensual, alive. Beauty is no longer shameful. Pleasure re-enters culture. And it wasn't decadence either. That was the body saying, hey, I survived. I want to be alive again. I want to feel free. And then that pattern continues on. And then if we jump forward in time to World War I, we see the same thing. You have mass industrialized death, shell shock. A whole generation is shattered. After the war, society tries to restore order. Gender roles tighten, morality tightens, control returns. We have prohibition. But the pressure's too much. They try to put the clamp down and squeeze too hard. And then suddenly, in the 1920s, women cut their hair. They start to dance. They drink. They choose sexual expression. Things like speakeasies explode. Women are visibly leading it. You have the flappers. I believe this is also when you had women, the suffragettes, that were trying to, get the vote out and all this stuff. And that's because they're trying to control, they're tired of control over their bodies. And here's the important thing. The body was never taught how to feel safe inside all of this freedom. So that freedom burns hot, but then it also burns out. Then we have World War II, total war, genocide, nuclear fear. And this time, repression doesn't look like morality. It's more like containment. The 1950s aren't about desire being wrong. They're about desire being dangerous. So you stay quiet. You stay domestic. You don't feel too much. And then once again, that pressure, it builds up to a boiling point to when it breaks. And then you have the 60s and the 70s, the sexual revolution. You have the pill, feminism, free love, all of those things. But again, liberation moves faster than the nervous system is able to contain. So freedom becomes intensity, intensity becomes chaos, and chaos triggers a backlash. And so the cycle resets. And here's what I noticed when I put all of these eras side by side. Every time women gained permission faster than they gained safety. They could say yes, but not without cost. They could explore, but not without bracing. They could be free, but not without losing a part of themselves. So the body learns something quietly and painfully. Freedom isn't safe. And that's why regression always followed. Not because liberation was wrong, but because the body was never included. Now let's talk about right now. COVID-19 wasn't just a health crisis. It was isolation. It was touch deprivation. It was shelter in place. It was social distancing. It was fear of bodies, moralized safety, nervous systems under prolonged threat. And now we're in the release phase again. We have open marriages, dating apps. You have OnlyFans, women controlling access, boundary renegotiation, identity exploration, all of the stuff. But you notice what's different? This time, people aren't just asking, how do I become freer? They're asking, why doesn't this freedom feel settled? Why does my body shut down even when I choose the freedom? How do I trust my yes again? That's the question that has never been central before. It's all about how can I gain freedom, not like, how is this freedom not helpful or healing or hopeful? And so this is the first cycle where language exists that has always been missing. The nervous system safety, trauma awareness, somatic consent, and self-trust. Now that's the real opportunity that we're facing right now. Now I don't believe I personally can stop this cycle at a cultural level, but I do believe I can stop it at an individual level. My work is not about pushing people into surrender or intensity. It's about helping the body feel safe enough to choose so that freedom doesn't cost you your nervous system, so that desire doesn't require disassociation, and so that exploration doesn't end in collapse. If you feel excited or even unsettled at the same time, if you feel open but unsure, if you feel like you're inside something bigger than you, you're not broken. You're just early. And this is the first sexual liberation cycle that has a chance to last. If we include the body instead of just overriding it, we have a chance to really making this one stick and allowing for ourselves finally to heal in ways that we haven't been able to in the past.